Good evening, everybody! It's the Dead Time Radio Show. I'm Billy. I'm here with my buddy Don. Hi, Don.
Hello.
And we are back again with another power-packed episode.
Power pack.
And we want to thank everybody that's been listening. We got lots of new listeners, which I'm happy to hear. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. And tell us stories. Tell us what you want us to talk about. We want to hear this stuff. We love feedback. It's one of our favorite things. Plus, if it's a really cool message, then we'll probably read it on the air. The other thing is you can go to our webpage, which is thedeadtimeradioshow.com, and there's a button on there called Be a Patron. Be a patron, whatever. You can become a patron, and you can donate to us if you'd like to. There's no need to if you don't want to, but we would like it if you did. It would be very nice of you.
Yes, please. Thank you in advance.
Yeah. So today's episode, we're going to talk about something that Don really likes to talk about all the time. It's kind of like a nice tie-in between creepy shit and ghosts, which is always good.
Yeah.
I'm always down with creepy shit and ghosts. And it's all about the ghosts of Chernobyl. I guess there's some type of horror movie coming out right now. But there's a lot of stories coming out of Chernobyl about, like, fucking weird paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a super interesting topic, at least in my opinion.
Agreed.
So we're going to start off. I love this guy's fucking name. We're going to start off on this person's website, on the YouTubes. Something hiding in Chernobyl. 3 creepy Chernobyl stories. And the guy that posted it, his name is Creep Sauce.
Creep sauce.
I like that.
I
I do too. Hat tip to you, Creep Sauce.
Creep sauce.
All right, let's check it out.
April 26th, 1986, one of the biggest nuclear disasters happened in Chernobyl of Pripyat. Today,
That's in Ukraine, by the way.
3 stories
Thank you.
taken from Chernobyl post-explosion. I'm Ryan, and welcome to Creep Sauce.
There's so many sexual innuendos I could just say right now with that Creep Sauce.
I'm an engineering student currently studying abroad in Ukraine. I've been interested in the country for a long time, and I knew I had to take the opportunity to check the old reactor out. It's actually not that hard to get into Pripyat, the city with the reactor. I figured if I could see the reactor from one of the abandoned buildings, that would be enough for me. I went there with Zach and Victor. Zach was an American foreign exchange student like me, and Victor was a native Ukrainian that we'd met in one of our engineering classes. Victor had been to Chernobyl once before and suggested we make a trip of it. Our plan was to drive a few hours to the outskirts of Pripyat, explore the abandoned buildings until sundown, and drive a ways back before setting up our tent in the campsite that Victor knew.
That's horrible.
About. The drive out there passed by uneventfully.
Before we get further, would you spend the night in Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, me too.
Yep.
I would too. I'd be like...
I'd have to have that thing that Josh Gates had where you'd have to measure the radiation.
Yeah,
like if it got too much for your body.
Yeah.
Like they weren't even there that long, and it was like
Well, it's
capping
just gonna
out.
stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like thousands of years.
So is all of this footage from the bomb, or is it just from it being there, not used, and being eaten by the elements? Looks like bomb residue, like just crap blown up everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it was a nuclear reactor.
This is a
up.
children's room right here, y'all. There's a bed, a rusted out bed, all like there's dolls. It's just shattered.
That
It looks
alone is creepy factor 11. I mean,
Agreed.
just walking into this place, seeing all this stuff.
So you're sitting there, you're in a daycare, you're playing blocks. All of a sudden, boom,
Yeah. Well, it
you're
wasn't
dead,
the
and then you don't
explosion.
know that you're dead.
It wasn't the explosion that killed him. It was the radiation. I mean, the reactor blew up, and then it was just the radiation afterwards that made everybody die. But just imagine, so you'd hear the explosion, but that's not what killed you, because it's probably not like right next to the reactor. But it's
it
close
looks
enough.
like there's a bomb went off in this place.
Yeah, it's probably because everybody evacuated so quickly. They just left everything. You can't take anything with you.
Right.
Can you imagine that you have to leave everything?
What would you grab?
You can't grab anything. It's
have to
all
grab
radioactive.
No,
all
before.
of it.
Oh yeah.
You can't grab anything. You can't take it with you
Right.
because then you're bringing radiation with
Right.
you. I don't know if I could do that.
But you're radioactive.
Yeah, but I mean,
Would you take your animals? Would you take, like...
well, anything that's living and breathing, I would probably take. I wouldn't leave Mara there.
No, I wouldn't leave.
That would suck.
You like all the things that you've collected that mean things to you are what you put in your space.
You'd never be able to have them again.
Right.
They'd be gone forever.
Once we arrived, we saw the extent of the abandoned city. This place was huge. We brought Geiger counters with us so we'd know if we were around any radiation that was too high. Our readings showed elevated levels, but nothing horrifying for the short time we'd be there. It was starting to get into the late evening, so we headed back for our car. That's when we got our first clue that something terrible was on its way.
Okay, so Chernobyl happened in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Like late 80s.
Yeah.
I think Reagan was still in office, right?
Okay.
So you're talking 40 years.
Yeah.
And they're still getting spikes on the Geiger counter. 40 fucking years.
I was 6 years old.
Now think about this. Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
Right.
the atom bombs.
Yeah.
And they're still getting a measurement there too,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay? That was
They
almost
just started moving
100
back in
years
there.
ago.
Right.
If you really look at it.
They just started
It's-
moving back in there.
It's 20 years from 100 years.
Yeah.
So that was 80 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
And they're just now finally finding places they can move into.
Right.
So this still has another probably 40 to 50 years before people could live there again.
For half-life.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fucking
So radiation
crazy,
has
man.
half-life. So
Yeah.
if your half-life, if you have like a 100-year half-life, you have to, at 100 years, it'll be half of the
Half the
maximum radiation.
right. Now my question is,
from the
how
first,
much, how much
from the
radiation
beginning of it.
were those rods emitting? So you have to look at that. Like, what is the half-life of that rod? That rod could be 1,000 years.
Right. So that's only half of the radiation.
Right.
At
So they'd
1,000
have to
years.
wait 500 years before you could even go in there without as much danger as
But
there
that
is
would
right
be
now.
a fourth, because if its half-life is 1,000, then it would be half.
No, it's full life, 1,000 years. So its half-life would be 500.
Right, but you said
So-
the half-life was 1,000.
No, if the rod lasted 1,000 years,
I got you.
the half-life of that rod would be 500. You'd have to wait 500 years to move in.
Right.
Fuck,
And it would
man.
still be
And
radioactive.
it would still be
Back to
radioactive.
Victor's car, we discovered its tyres had been slashed. All 4 of them. We hadn't seen
Ooh.
anyone around all day and had no idea why anyone would do that.
Dun, dun,
The walk back to
dun.
civilization would take a few hours, and we didn't have calls.
So a ghost slashed his tires?
Go slash.
So we decided to wait out the night in the city and start walking back in the morning. We gathered up our tent and some food from the car and made our way back into the...
How many fucking mutants you think live there?
Okay. A lot.
Maybe it wasn't a ghost. Maybe it
But
was
you
a
didn't.
mutant.
Yeah, it was somebody that has been there the whole time. That's you, because you're not leaving. You're
We
shit.
figured it might rain, and setting up our tent inside one of the buildings would beat out setting up in the open. We found a good open spot in one of the most industrial-looking buildings and set up our tent. Zach and I were both shaken from the tyres getting slashed, but Victor had already seemed to put it out of his mind. After a short meal, we all climbed into the tent and tried to get some sleep. Laying in my sleeping bag, it seemed like the building was screaming at us. The wind whipped through the wrecked, wide-open windows. The entire building seemed to groan and sag with the slightest motion of our bodies.
Terrifying.
On top of all that, I thought I started to hear moaning, low on the wind. A very real, very human moaning.
Yeah,
I
can
got
you
to my
imagine
feet
that?
and grabbed my phone, turning on the flash. Victor
That's
and Zach
crazy,
both
man.
sat up in their sleeping bags, looking at me. I held my finger to my lips.
Residual there
listening
would be
out. The moaning was
ridiculous.
coming closer.
Not that it was
Something
active,
seemed
just
to
a
be down
residual
the hall.
of
I stuck
pain.
my head and arm out the tent and stared into the darkness, but the pitch blackness was absolute. I tapped the button on my phone to take a picture, and the flash lit up the darkness like a stun grenade. I saw a figure at the end of the hallway. It was humanoid, but the skin covering his face looked mummified and hung off his skull so loose that I couldn't see his eyes. He was hunched over forward like an old man and was holding an axe. Here is the picture I took of the figure. He groaned at the sudden flash of light, and I heard his footsteps stumbling away in the darkness.
That's the
I
dude.
turned to Zach and Victor, hissing at them together.
It's a mutant.
They were
It's a
staring at me in
person.
Confusion, but soon got to their feet. Zach made to start taking down the tent, but I whispered there was no time. We left the building behind, making our way out of the apartment complex and started through the dark woods towards our car. I
So
kept
that
my
dude
phone
can
out,
murder
taking
all of
occasional
you.
Pictures to light our way. My skin crawled.
Dude, he like didn't slash the tires. He fucking axed them.
Yeah.
He used
With
an
the
axe.
Yep. One chop. One Judy chop. Cha.
Did you just say Judy?
Judy chop. Yes.
He's a Judy chop. I'm a Judy chop. You.
I'm Judy chop you.
Somebody just got real southern real quick.
Didn't know what to make of the man. Was he a caretaker, security? Whatever he was, I didn't like the sounds he made. And I didn't think that
Get
the
off
way
my
he
yard,
stamped
I'ma
his
Judy
face
chop you.
was normal. Then, the worst sound. The moaning returned from the woods behind us and to our right. "Run!" I shouted, whirling and taking a picture over my shoulders as I sped down the path. We ran for the last few minutes until we reached the car. Victor unlocked it, we piled in and he locked the door behind us. A few minutes passed in silence before I was brave enough to look at the picture I'd taken. Here it is.
Now, here's my thing. Is this a story or is this real?
3 stories, it says.
I know, that's the key. Stories. Is this from a real person that actually saw this shit, or did they make this shit up?
Where'd the pictures come from? So
I
you're
don't
saying
know.
they had a picture and they made the story around the picture?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to wonder. That's what I'm wondering.
You're trying to wonder?
Yeah.
You're making an effort to wonder?
I'm making an effort.
Yeah. Oh, that's the guy you said.
Victor's car, taking turns to
Ugh.
everything that was.
Mutant.
The next morning we made our way back into
His
town.
skin fell off his
Yes, we are,
face.
but no one's-
I have an issue.
Look at it.
I have an issue.
It looks like Saw.
I have an issue.
Look at it. It's got...
Here's my issue, okay? It is 2022. We have high definition fucking cameras on our telephones.
He was running.
Okay? There are lots of phones that have like anti-shake technology. So you can go like this and still get a
What?
decent picture.
This was in
Okay?
2019.
Why is every single
I
fucking
know.
ghost picture blurry as shit? Every single UFO picture blurry as shit.
Well, because if it was high definition, you would see that there was a person in a face.
You could
Mask.
stop and take a quick picture while, you know, ooh,
Just go, ooh.
beep, and then fucking run.
He did. That's what it
No,
looks like.
that-
Looks like
yeah.
Saw.
This is
Saw
like he
ran
was
after
going
you.
like this.
You're gonna stop and let him Judy chop you in
He's
the
not
throat
gonna Judy chop
with
me.
the axe.
Let me ask you something.
He didn't axe the tires so they couldn't go anywhere. He was thinking about what they would taste like. He was making his sauce.
My question is, what did he axe the tires?
Ooh,
Dear. What
paradox.
That was pretty creepy.
Ah.
Creepy McCreeperson.
One of the most
where it
fascinating
looked like
events
Saw.
in history, by far.
I think
was
you're
the
right. I think they
Chernobyl
had
disaster.
pictures
Do you know what that says?
and then they left turn.
No, it says Pripyat. That's the name of the city that Chernobyl is
That
in.
doesn't say Pripyat.
Yes, it does. It's in Russian.
That's a
It says Pripyat.
N and a P and a backwards N and a P.
P-R-E-E-P-Y-T, and then the B is like.
Do you know
it
how to speak
stops fast
Russian?
A little bit. So Pripyat. Pretty cool, huh?
Okay. I just have to take your word for it.
The nuclear power plant that exploded, killing 31 immediately.
Я говорю немного, только немного.
Okay.
That means I speak a little Russian.
Okay.
And thousands after the effects
I'm
of
wicked
radiation
smart.
took their
Take your
toll,
word on it.
is located between the city of Pripyat and Chernobyl in the Ukraine. The Pripyat River and a large body of water that was used as a cooling reservoir for the power plant run adjacent to these two cities. After 30 years, wildlife is thriving in these now overgrown ghost towns, even better than before the incident occurred. Some residents
Yeah, but they all have like 12 fucking legs.
Their lives, but
It's like a
Pripyat is
scented
still
deer.
abandoned.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a bit of a disaster.
Sent a deer.
As more
So those
visitors
pictures
say.
may be true.
One of my
You said
favourite
weren't true
hobbies is
or
visiting
didn't look
sites
real.
such as Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Mile Island, Bhopal. I've toured as close as I can to Fukushima, and have seen the Darvaza gas crater or the gates of hell with my own eyes.
That's creepy right
I wanna
there.
see that.
Auschwitz in Poland.
Ooh, I had a chance to go to Auschwitz. I said, I'm not doing that.
I would
We
go.
went to Germany. Huh?
I would go.
You would go?
Yeah.
I like my father-in-law. He wanted to go, and I'm like, I don't like. I can feel energy, and I did not want to feel that sadness, and
It would be heartbreaking, but I would go.
because the girl, ER nurse, went, and she said they have rooms. Behind glass are the shoes, and you could smell the leather of the leather
And
shoes.
the hair.
And they were stacked on stacked. She said they're just rooms full of shoes, and those were people.
Mm-hmm.
The people, they took their shoes and they just put them in this room.
When I went to France in 2014,
That's heartbreaking.
I was going to go to Dachau, which is down by Strasbourg, and I never went. I never got a chance to go, but because I didn't stay there long enough. But yeah, I've always wanted to go to those places. Not
I
because,
don't-
not out of fascination, but more out of respect and reverence.
The sadness, this that
Oh,
this
yeah,
is your
it's terrible.
child is leaving,
It's terrible.
and you're walking in there, and that's the last time you're ever going to see your child.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. That would just, oh my
Heart-wrenching.
God, I can't imagine that. Knowing that you're walking to your death and it's for nothing. For nothing.
Way to bring it down, Don. Way to bring it down.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
There was only one place
Chernobyl.
left on my bucket list. I wanted to see
Auschwitz.
where one of, if not the worst, nuclear disaster happened. An explosion so catastrophic that it leaked 100 times the amount of radiation into the air than that of Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
100 times?
100 times more than those two.
It was a small layover in France before the next flight took us to the Ukraine, Kiev. I got a hotel room and got some much needed sleep for the adventure ahead. I was able to get a local taxi service to take me right outside of the city Chernobyl the next day. It was about a 10-kilometer, 6-mile walk to the reactor and the city of Pripyat. I retrieved my backpack from the trunk and began my trek. It was still relatively early in the morning. As long as I kept a steady pace, I could be there by midday. Easier said than done with an enormous backpack slowing me down. What should have been a 2, maybe 3-hour hike escalated into a 5-hour haul. I must have passed the nuclear plant, as I was first met by these large, white apartment-like buildings. Pripyat was home to over 40,000 workers and their families before the nuclear blast forced an emergency evacuation of all its citizens. In the matter of a few days, it was abandoned, never to see another resident. I ventured into the city, taking in the silence and perilous views. It was pure bliss. I passed the infamous Ferris wheel and the remnants of a once lively carnival. Tall buildings paint the perimeter of the city and vehicles lay untouched throughout the streets. Everything had been overtaken by plant life. Nature has truly thrived since humans left this area. Deer, bison, wolves, cows, and birds appear in abundance. Even though these animals are doing well, they are still affected by the radiation, and it's...
So, there's a game that's like D&D called Gamma World. And you can be pretty much anything mutated. So you could be a mutated plant. Imagine those plants having sentient life. How trippy would that be? That you're going to Chernobyl to check it all out, and then the plant kills you because it's actually got its own fucking nervous system and brain.
Now that it's been,
Because
like,
it's been mutated
the trees
by the radiation.
Is that what created the Ents?
Maybe.
The big trees that are walking around?
Best to steer clear of them. I can't stay long. I want to make it to the reactor by nightfall. I make my way to the river that will guide me south to the power plant. As the sun sets and my legs grow tired, a giant concrete dome pierces the horizon. I read that a 500-foot structure was built in late 2017 to help contain the radioactive waste for the next century or so. This must be it. I made it. I found a small clearing, a good distance away from the reactor to set up camp. My life revolved around these activities, but I wasn't stupid. In case the local police or military patrolled the area, I wanted to stay fairly hidden. I knew I could get in a lot of trouble for trespassing in such a dangerous area. After the tent was up, I crawled inside and was immediately greeted by sleep. I was awakened by the quiet tap of rain on the tent. I rolled over and closed my eyes to return to sleep, but was met by another sound that made my blood run ice cold. It sounded like something was in distress, something very large. The cry echoed like thunder. It was very guttural and sounded almost like a whale call. The vibrations of the hum shook the tent. Adrenaline coursed through my veins. I unzipped the tent just enough to get an eye through, but was met only by darkness and cold rain. I continued to unzip the door so I could get a better look. Whatever it was, a small plastic tent wasn't going to provide much protection. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. The hum cries out again. Birds frantically flee their nests. Then, like a wrecking ball to a building, an abrupt crash follows, shaking the air. Construction? In the middle of the night? I ponder out loud. A crack of lightning lights up the entire sky. What I saw that night cannot
Bigfoot.
be possible. I've gone through multiple scenarios in my head trying to come up with a reasonable explanation. A creature stood over the cement building that covered the nuclear plant. It was in the shape of a human, but just a decayed skeleton of one. The building was 500 feet tall.
So it's
about 160.
They're describing the same
This
guy.
thing lingered over it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they're describing the same guy
that
from
they
the
got the
first
picture.
story.
Yeah. But it's a
And
totally different story.
yeah, that's weird.
So is that what they are? Is that like if you stay, is
I
that
don't know.
you're still
Why
alive
is it
but
just
your
his
skin?
face that's melted off though?
Not
why
that
is
we
it
know
just
if
his
he has
face
clothes
that's
on. It may not
skeletal?
only be his face.
I don't know.
Slamming
I wanna
its
see more
closed, rotten
pictures.
fists into it. Its
I do
jaw
too.
slowly cracks
For
open
20
into
minutes.
the
Yeah, I
beam
wanna see more
of the
pictures.
trees. My attention is diverted to something stirring in the cooling reservoir. The sounds of a submarine breaching water. I wait for another flash of lightning so I can see through the thick black of night. I'm splashed by water as an arm, stories tall, reaches into the sky and slams on the ground outside the reservoir. Another creature emerges from the water's depths, this one screaming, an ear-piercing howl like that of a banshee, much different than the other one. I rip my gaze.
How does he know what a banshee sounds like? Banshee is a mythical creature.
It's an Irish folklore. Maybe
Right, but how does he know what a banshee sounds like? Nobody's ever heard
it
banshee
just says
for real.
scream, so you would assume.
He said it sounded like a banshee.
Because it's a primal scream.
I think he's lying.
You're lying like a rug.
Away from the beast.
He needs a Judy chop.
He's a Judy chop.
The tree line. When I penetrate the forest, I'm
With
met
an
by a
axe.
forceful push. I'm tackled to the ground as Russian men in military outfits scream at me. It's pouring rain at this point. I try to explain I can't understand them, but before I can even move my mouth, the cold butt of a rifle strikes my face, and I lose consciousness. When I came back around,
He got fucked
I
up.
was
Knocked
on
his
an
head.
airplane. I rubbed my forehead where the rifle struck, but nothing was there. Just the faint remnants of a headache. The plane landed in France, and as my backpack came down the conveyor belt, I noticed nothing was amiss. My tent, flashlight and sleeping bag were all in their respective places. Radiation sickness would take much longer than a day to make me that sick. Whatever I saw that night was real. I don't know if it's military weapon testing or the military protecting whatever is in that
Yep.
reactor, but now I know why the citizens of Pripyat never returned home.
So if I was a Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever, I would go where there are no people.
Or if I were
there's
in
no
the
people.
military and there were secret things going on there,
You would go there.
you would dress like that to scare people away.
But the sounds.
Well, the sounds could be anything. But, like, if you were trying to keep something secret there, you would try and find the best. And these stories, I'm sure they grew legs very quickly because, you know, you always get, like, old wives' tales and fucking urban myths after some crazy catastrophic thing happens.
Right.
That's a good way to keep people out. But you're always going to get the curious.
Right.
So, I mean, just the way that
So
story
they just
ended about
knocked him out, put
somebody
him on
in the
a plane.
military. Yeah, somebody in the military knocked him the fuck out, and then they put him on
He
a
wakes
plane.
up on a plane.
And he wakes
First
up-
of all,
yeah.
any airport that I've ever been at will not allow you even to get on the plane if you're drunk or out unconscious
But if
or
the
whatever.
military is the one that brought him
They
there, and they
drug
said,
him
hey,
on,
put him on this
he's
fucking
gonna
plane,
go back.
he's being deported.
Yeah.
That,
It's- yeah.
So, I don't know. That's like...
Yeah, but it's just a story. I mean, you could say any story. I want to
Yeah.
see more pictures like
I do
this.
too. Pixar didn't happen.
No, it's just a story, like you said.
That's why I wonder. I wonder about some of this evidence too.
My name is Vito Montagna. I like to
You
travel
killed
to
my
foreign
father.
places
Prepare
and
to
do
die.
things.
Oh.
I was born and raised in Rome, Italy.
Inigo Montoya.
I had a liking to traveling. I am
You killed my
6'5"
father,
and
prepare
have a
to
strong
die.
build.
Six-finger
I love to mountain
man.
climb and poke around in abandoned places. What my latest trip brought me was something new. Earlier this year, I went to Pripyat in Chernobyl, Ukraine, for a tour of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant area where the 1986 nuclear meltdown happened. During this trip, we were given Geiger counters for keeping track of our radiation levels and to detect hotspots for us to avoid. We were to keep on the outskirts of the exclusion zone, far enough away from the sarcophagus, the building house the reactor that melted down, and before that we wouldn't be irradiated. During this trip, I took a little bit of a daring route that was a little further from the group than I needed to be. I never went outside of the line of sight, just wandering around in the vicinity of the trail. The cities were amazing. It was a ghost town that nature had reclaimed for compensation of its destruction. This place seemed to be a reminder that we have limits in the bounds of nature and that we mustn't test them, as nature is as beautiful as it is cold-hearted and will always win in the end. This will be a grim reminder of what we tried and failed. Even though we have these now, we evolved them in our own time, and now the risk of a meltdown is virtually next to zero. As the tour came to a close, I decided that I would try to camp in the zone. This is rare and often very dangerous, so it is advised against. I thought to myself that it would be a new and exciting venture anyway, so I decided to do it. I stayed the final night in my hotel preparing for my endeavour. I went over my equipment about as many times as a person takes a step in a day. I had my Geiger counter for safety, my tent, my sleeping things, and my food and water. When I finally went to sleep, I woke up with a start and got out the door as fast as I could. I went straight into the city of the ghosts and set up camp. I found a nice place just outside the centre, next to the Ferris wheel of Pripyat. I set up my stuff, grabbed the Geiger counter and set off on my own to explore unbound by a guide. The housing blocks were deserted, as to be expected, but they left such a creepy shell of life, abandoned in an instant because of a catastrophic failure.
I could put that thing across the fucking room, and you would find a way to hit it. Dawn is the master at hitting the microphone no matter where I strategically
This
place
chair's
it.
uncomfortable. I'm trying to move my ass back.
God. I gave you the most cushy chair I have. I gave you the cushiest of cushy chairs. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
In the neighbouring plant. The school wasn't any better. The irradiated gas masks got left behind because it was more dangerous to wear them than to breathe the toxic air. Seeing all the desolate-looking Soviet buildings made me sad because of all the people having to leave behind all they knew for the instant disaster that occurred. I almost felt guilty for walking where they once stood. As it was getting...
I don't like this one.
Nope.
It's boring. It's a boring story. Goodbye, sir. You are the weakest link.
Goodbye.
This one is Ghost Activity in Chernobyl. It's a fast one from Nicholas Koss. Let's see what he has to do here.
Going down from the rooftop.
Did you hear that?
Very creepy.
Oh, you've been listening to a lot of ghost stuff. Listen.
Slightly creepy.
Oh, did you see that?
Slightly creepy.
Right there?
Slightly creepy.
But you know what? That could be anything.
Slightly creepy. So, this is in Pripyat.
That could be anything. That could be just a fabric blowing in the wind.
What would he be
breeze.
doing in the hallway?
In the breeze. It could be like a really. You don't know what's in the room. You don't know if there's
Right.
a window right next to that
Yeah.
door or what. So I don't know
It
about
didn't
that
look
one.
like that.
No, that was kind of fucking weird.
That was
though.
weird.
Some of the apartments that people had to flee after the meltdown. Let's go in an apartment. Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
See,
Oh, Jesus.
you're in a place where there's a lot of fucking broken windows and a lot of drafts. So that can easily be debunked as
Yeah.
the wind just fucking closed it.
Right, but how terrifying would that be when
It
you're
would
by
be kind
yourself?
of
and
creepy
you're
if you're,
fucking-
yeah. I get
Ah!
Judy chopped that fucking door.
G-chop. Yeah! G-chop.
She doesn't need to do a full video replay.
Down from the rooftop.
You can hear pans.
Slightly creepy.
Now,
And then
that,
there's
that was like a piece of metal, like a fucking like an aluminum frame
Yeah.
from the ceiling kind of
Yeah.
sound that fell. Where did that come from? I'm more
Huh.
curious about that than I am this thing down the hallway, because I just think that thing
But
down
it's
the
like our
hallway-
stuff, we don't hear it when it happens. Like, she
Yeah, but
didn't
you could
see
hear
that.
Very creepy. So, this is in Pripyat. Some of the apartments that people had to flee after the meltdown. Let's go in an apartment.
See, it's open.
Right.
That door's open.
Oh, Jesus.
You don't see any
I don't know about
sign
that.
of wind
I
or...
don't know. My skeptic comes out on that one, just cause it's just kind of weird. You know what I mean? Those are easily explainable. Now, if I saw some dude go, "What the fuck you doing in my house?" and he's like transparent,
What happened?
right?
Yeah.
And he's transparent and glowing green. Then I'd shit my
Or
pants.
his face skin was off.
Right, his face skin was gone.
And he was
But
trying to Judy chop with the axe.
I understand being startled because the door closed.
Yeah.
I would probably get startled because the door closed, but it's so easily explained
And that was all she got in her videos.
in a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was all in one spot.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. This one is Ghosts of Chernobyl, Inside the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone by Francesca Danny. Oh, what's Francesca have to say? I still want to go to this place. I still want
Yeah.
to check it out.
Yep.
I'd probably shit my pants.
We need Patreon so we can go.
Oh, she's cute.
You wouldn't want to go over there now.
Yeah, actually I do. I
You're
want to
crazy.
bring my guns with me though.
That would be impossible. Quite impossible. Oh, you know you can do a 3D gun?
Do you know there are I think the last I saw was like 15,000 volunteers from other countries over there right now. Fighting
what?
on the side of Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah.
15,000?
There was I just saw a video the other day of a 47-year-old American veteran that was over there that is teaching them how to take out tanks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you watch Dr. Mike? He debunks all these stupid videos like TikToks where they're telling you to do this or take that or eat that.
Yeah.
He's from Ukraine. Guess how much money that he's raised so far? $18 million.
Nice.
He's trying to get $20 million. He's
Good for
from
him.
there. They deflected when he was young. So his dad, they still have family over
They
there.
defected.
What'd I say?
Deflected.
Okay, defected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Booty trap. Yes. That's from Goonies. Anyway, Dr. Mike is raising money for Ukraine because that's
Good.
where he's from. So I
Good.
thought that was super cool.
That is cool.
He's Ukrainian. So yeah, we got to support Ukraine. I agree 100%.
What's up with her mouth? Why
Why she keep doing that?
Exactly. Why? Okay, I'm waiting for the ghost part.
Nope. It's 11 minutes. Is it 11 minutes of this? There she does her mouth again.
I know. What's up with that? Okay, they're driving there now. Okay, you gotta stop with your mouth there, honey. Unless she's got tardive dyskinesia.
I don't know what that is.
That's when you got like
Go mouth
your
wiggling
mouth
disease?
movement. You're like you do weird shit with your face. You
I don't
can't
think
help
so.
It.
It looks like she was doing it on purpose for the
Could you
video.
imagine if I walked around like that all
Yes, I would love that. You need to start doing that.
looking like a little
I have
rat?
retarded dyskinesia.
How's
Well, you look like
everybody
you're
doing today?
pooping. You look like you're pooping.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
Don't do it! This is going to be nothing. It's going to be 11 minutes of this and
I know, I'm
no
trying to-
minutes
I
of
gotta
nothing.
fast forward it. I
It
mean,
doesn't
she-
even say that they find anything.
She's cute and all, but this is the making of video footage. Okay, we're done. You're cute, but I don't understand what you're trying to do there, girly.
I have to back
What's
it
this
up.
one? Oh, do not let the ghosts of Chernobyl touch you.
Ooh, I love creepy pasta.
Creepy pasta, creep snick
25
pasta.
minutes.
We can watch a little bit of it.
Okay.
All right.
I've always wondered why ghost hunters never went to Chernobyl. I've seen movies,
Okay.
But it's the same dude
It's
as the
same
first guy.
story.
but I've never seen any
No.
ghosts.
So creepy pasta.
With the nuclear meltdown,
Oh,
and the amount of
man.
deaths that happened there, they would have some activity.
I hate
going
this,
on.
Billy.
It piqued my interest so much that I planned a trip over there.
No, it's the same stuff.
I've been on small ghost hunts all over the country
Oh,
before, so I was no stranger to this stuff.
I just want to see
I've
photos.
been
Just
to
type in
supposedly the
photos.
most haunted places, but never really found anything interesting. Yeah, I've seen some weird stuff on my journeys, but never anything like what I came across in Chernobyl. The ghosts are completely different there. I'm not so sure if it's the radiation before their death or
It's the
after
same
their death.
dude.
It
like
is the
we're
same exact
completely
thing. We're
the
changing
same
that up.
story. We are failing as a podcast.
I don't know why I'm getting a lot of Indian
This is why
ads
we're-
on YouTube nowadays.
Because it's Ukraine. I don't know.
Because it's Ukraine?
Maybe. I don't know.
You
It's
probably
over
heard
there.
about tourism in the Chernobyl exclusive zone. I've been there myself several times, and it's nothing like what you see in games or horror movies. There are no ghosts, mutants, or radioactive anomalies, and death isn't waiting for you at every corner. Actually, I think it's one of the most peaceful and prettiest places on Earth. An example of strength of nature, and how it can reverse the damage we caused it.
I think the quiet alone, though, makes it creepy. If you think about it. Because, I mean, it's completely deserted. Nobody's there.
There's no sound. There's no birds. There's no animals.
well, you know, there's birds and stuff. There's a lot of people that I was listening. The birds and animals have come back, but there's like no human activity at all. that you know of. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm sure there's military around there still and stuff. But could you just imagine how dead quiet that is? You just hear the wind blowing or whatever, and you'll hear the trees rustling. And that can be peaceful and pretty, but it can also be creepy as fuck.
Yeah. Let's do photos. Ghost of Chernobyl photos. This is 49 minutes of somebody
Well,
else
I'm not
talking.
playing all of 49 minutes, but we'll see what we got
Thus,
going on
when
here.
my friend Alexei decided to go there, he knew who to contact. He's studying physics, and right now he's doing some kind of research on nuclear fallout. And he said that he wanted to get some direct measurements and samples. We both knew that it was just an excuse to go on an adventure. We visited the old power.
Is Hayden Christensen reading all these fucking stories? I swear to God. Pictures of ghosts at Chernobyl. Oop, I gotta spell it right. Chernobyl. Let's see what we got. Pics or it didn't happen, bitches.
Ooh. Okay, we gotta describe these. There's ABC News has Ghost of Chernobyl.
Okay, that's not a ghost. That's a gas mask. I don't see any ghosts in the picture. I'm being disappointed here. This is... Okay,
That's creepy.
okay, this one...
Totally creepy.
That's kind of creepy. But is that real?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's
Photoshop?
real.
It looks like
Yeah,
Photoshop.
it could be Photoshop. That's fucking crazy, though.
But we don't
if
know
it's
'cause we haven't
real,
been there.
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
What is that for your fucking rat?
Oh,
Here's a
it's so
gas
tiny.
mask
It's
for
a
your
tiny gas
pet rat.
mask. It's a pet. It looks like a
That's
dog.
probably for like a little baby. All right. Let's get a little more nitty gritty. Let's
This is
find some
terrifying.
better stuff here. Yeah, I don't
This
know.
is
if I
ABC
should- yeah,
News.
Fuck ABC News. All right. We know that what happened there. Blah 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 blah.
Ooh, there's one. It looks the
Is
window
it?
of a house. Looks like a girl. She's got long black hair and pigtails.
Where? Right
there.
here?
No, left side. Yeah,
No,
right
that's
there.
wheat.
No,
That's
inside
a
there.
plant. That's
It looks
plant
like a
covering
little
it up.
girl.
Oh, you weirdo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
I don't see a lot of ghost pictures. I just see lots of what would be considered ghost vehicles because nobody's in them.
Yeah.
None of these show ghosts. I'm sad. I'm sad now.
Yep.
I'm very sad now. Haunting
There you
Chernobyl
go.
pictures. These are just pictures, though.
Oh, that just means that they're
Haunting.
dead
It's a
things.
haunting picture because it's
all the things are blown
that's
out.
Creepy as
Oh, there's a doll head
That's
with his face burned off
fuck.
and his
Creepy as fuck.
hair's all fried, but he's
Could
still
you
smiling
imagine,
and
like-
the green eyes.
Dude, could you imagine
Yeah.
if that
is
walked
weird.
down a hallway on a body?
Mommy,
That was the face.
mommy.
Was like
Blinking.
maybe 3 feet
Mommy.
tall,
Yep.
and that's what it looked like.
I'm hungry. No way, that's nightmare shit right there.
Oh yeah, it is.
Nightmare shit.
Yes, yes, it is.
Old records. I mean, I agree that the things that are left there just to rot and dust and, you know,
Those little dolls
residue
are creepy.
and ooh, those are called Cupid dolls, little plastic dolls.
So here's something that's really cool. Chernobyl stalkers. Okay. It's a subculture of mostly young people in Kiev called stalkers. Now there was an old video game called Stalker, and it was all about you were in post-nuclear Chernobyl, and you had to walk around in wasteland and shit. It was almost like post-apocalyptic type of thing. That's probably where they got that name from.
Okay.
But these are the guys that sneak in and explore.
Okay.
I mean,
Why are they called stalkers? Because a stalker would mean that you're following something.
because
that
you're
you-
like sneaking in, stalking. You're stalking.
So they need to
their
be
prey.
sneakers
They got maybe. I would maybe
or creepers.
creeper McCreepersons.
I like creepers. I would be a creeper, McCreeperson. Oh, it's a fox.
Look at that
It's an animal.
fox though. He looks kind of gross.
War torn. Literally.
Emaciated.
Yeah. Literal war torn.
Now, that's fucking crazy. That big giant. They call it the sarcophagus. It's creepy too, but Imagine the guy that had to go in there and build that shit. The guys that had to go in there and do that. Were they wearing full out fucking radiation gear? Because
Probably.
that's fucking ground zero right there.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
I wonder how much they got paid. Jesus.
You couldn't get insurance, that's for sure. They better pay you handsomely.
Yeah.
Like those under ocean welders, they
Yeah.
get paid a crap ton of money, but they're usually doing like pipelines and gas pipelines that they're welding. So you can't get insurance.
No.
So you
get
get
danger
paid
pay.
a crap ton of money. Yeah.
Danger pay. Yeah, these are all just pictures of just like,
Yeah.
man.
I wanted to go stuff.
I did too.
What about-
We got like one or two, but one of them was like hokey as fuck. And
So I know you don't like Josh Gates, but he got some video of people like there was a guy that was squatting. You know how they teach you when the disaster drills where you have to sit down on the ground and fetal
Yeah, yeah,
position
yeah.
and put a book over your head.
basically
There
just
was
kiss your ass goodbye.
there was
because-
a picture of there it is, Destination
Yeah,
Truth.
but that's the movie, and we can't play them because it would be copyright stuff.
Right. You're right.
Plus, that's just the IMDb saying where the movie is. You probably got to buy the
And
motherfucking
just
thing.
snip it. You're right.
But-
Anyway, so they were moving the camera and it looked like a boy squatting down with his hands over his head. He was still there. That's terrifying.
That is kind of terrifying. I'm sure there is some type of mutant creature that stalks there. I mean, I don't know. But here is this week on Josh Gates' Designated Truth team the team headed to the area around Chernobyl nuclear plant. After the accident, all the town and villages near the nuclear reactor were evacuated, and they remain ghost towns. Eerily stills. They spelled eerily wrong. With everything much the way it was when the people fled. Of course, nature and time have been busy, and the buildings are now in ruinous state, but you still get a real feel of the panic and thing. It is kind of amazing how fast nature takes back over.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I mean, quickly.
Yep. Exactly.
There was that show on the History Channel that used to Life After Us. Have you ever watched that?
No.
And they break it down into years, like how many years it takes for the plants to regrow. And then they showed like computer generated what it would be like, and they showed like New York City, like how long it would take for the buildings to start breaking down.
Yeah.
How long would it take for automobiles to just start like corroding and falling apart? And they showed one where it was a CGI of the animals in these high-rise apartments up on the top floors and shit, because like the whole facade of the building had crumbled by that point, so it was just open, kind of like when you see like war movies where you see like half the building is gone and
Right.
you can see in all the different apartments,
Right.
like that. And there's animals everywhere. There's eagles up at the
I was
very
going to
top
say
of
the
the
eagles
things.
would
Yeah.
be up there because that would be
pretty trippy.
perfect. You're out of the wind. You're out of.
Yeah, so
You
I
would
mean,
have one vantage point, which is what you want when
Right.
you're an animal, right? That's
and
why
it's just amazing how fast the fucking nature took over.
right.
It's
Yeah, that's-
crazy shit, man. Yeah, see, I wonder if this is actual pictures that he got. I'd love to find these pictures that you keep telling me about in the videos, but
Yeah.
it all is just regular pictures of abandoned shit.
Right.
Okay, well, we've seen enough of those, we know.
It does look terrifying, though.
It does look terrifying,
The books everywhere.
but I mean, it looks like a bomb went off, but
does.
the bomb didn't do anything. This is all just from neglect.
From leaving, yeah, but look at all the gas masks. Like what, they just abandoned the
They
gas
just
masks? Wouldn't you
left.
take that
they
with
just
you?
ran and left. I mean, they evacuated
Just
fast
that-
as fuck.
Yeah. Sound, it's a huge alarm, and then you just leave everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's weird. What's this? Ghost Hunt. Josh Gates tonight on YouTube. What's he going to be talking about? It's no
Unavailable. You
longer
can't do
available.
it.
Of course it's no longer available. Why would it be? We're like fucking almost near the end of the show and we're trying to fucking find shit.
Is there anything to read?
Just
the
I'm trying to-
pictures.
let's read this. Chernobyl's ghost sighting theory. Being stuck at home and watching whatever I can had me rewatching Destination Truth episodes, and one was them investigating Chernobyl. Every time that had an apparition sighting or a paranormal event happen, the radiation levels spiked. Well, of course. Now this leads me to my theory. Knowing what we know is probably what they wanted to say.
Right.
That ghosts and spirits need energy to manifest. The amount of radiation is all over Chernobyl. This made me realize that Chernobyl is one huge battery.
Ooh, that's a good
Any
point.
ghost pulling energy to manifest or move anything has an endless supply of energy. In doing so, it's not pulling normal electric energy from a battery, but pulling the radiation from everywhere, and that's what's causing the radiation spikes.
Ooh,
That absolutely
that's a
could
good
be. That is
theory.
a great theory.
I like that.
That's brilliant. I like some of the comments too.
That's why they had to get out of there. When they saw the kid, it spiked like to horrible levels to where they were going to be showing effects and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. It's just a fucking scary place.
I'd like to go and just see. Like, or would we get hit with the butt of a gun and thrown on a plane?
Well, you're not gonna fucking pitch a tent like that dumbass did. I mean, if anything, you're gonna try and find a place where you can and you'd probably want somebody to keep watch. You'd have to break down watch. Like
Right.
one person take a nap for a few hours, and then the rest people sleep, and then one person be like, "All right, it's your turn to take watch," because.
But if there's a
gotta watch
Bigfoot
out
out
for
there,
that
what if
shit.
that Bigfoot just murders all of you? Then you're kind of screwed.
There's no Bigfoot at Chernobyl. But imagine a giant bear with a big giant.
But
cock on
as
his
to our
fucking
theory of
forehead.
the Bigfoot, it is like extraterrestrial. You see a light first. Why would that not happen? Why would they not come
I
there?
don't
There's
think
no.
Bigfoot would go to Chernobyl. He'd get radiation sickness, and then he would be like,
But he's impenetrable. You can't even shoot him with a bullet.
"That's not true.
All
You
the
don't
radiation-
know that. You don't
Yes.
know if Bigfoot is like
He
impervious
is. We've
to
talked
bullets."
about this.
Oh my god,
We've talked about this.
Bigfoot is not a fucking Superman.
People shoot. Yes, you can't. It shoots right through.
People shoot.
He's not real.
But they're.
But he's there.
You're fucking killing me today. So Bigfoot is bulletproof, yet he's not real, yet he's there.
Yeah, because
Is basically what you just
he's
said.
a ghost, which is like he manifests himself. He's real for a time, and then he can make himself invisible again. What? It's
Oh
always
my
fun. Okay,
God.
first there's a light, and then there's a.
Here is something on a Slavic note. Shocking new
Dyatlov.
theory
Told
of the
you.
Dyatlov Pass.
Told you.
Okay, now.
Yep, tell me.
They're talking.
Is this what we talked about? That I said that it was
No.
not a fucking
The nature
avalanche.
of the eventual discovery. Let's see, 59 years ago in the Urals, a team of 9 ascended the Mountain of the Dead. Only one came down. The chilling details and inexplicable circumstances of their disappearance have become the stuff of nightmares and Hollywood fiction. Now, one Russian blogger believes he's closer to the truth than we have ever been before. The nature of the eventual discovery shocked the science community and investigators alike. The bodies had been discovered at different sites and at different times. Some had signs of severe internal trauma, others showed traces of radiation. Half the bodies were naked or wearing each other's clothes, and there was no object in the vicinity that could have caused any of this to happen, as concluded by the Soviet investigation. Theories range from homicidal psychosis to aliens and government experience, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. Just look at this movie trailer for The Devil's Pass, and it's not even the only horror movie to come out of Hollywood that deals with the subject matter. Nearly 60 years later, Russian blogger Valentin Degtyarev, who manages a journal about the paranormal and explains, believes the deaths of a DLF group were caused by a small-yield missile that hit the side of the rock. Evidence of a 30-meter wide crater, he says, is in his online journal, can be seen on closer inspection of the satellite image of the area and is situated about 3 kilometers from the site of their tent. Let's look at this.
Why was their tongues ripped out?
Okay, so this is a Google map.
Okay.
So is that the crater? Yes, that's the
That's
crater.
the crater.
And that's 3 kilometers from where they were at. That
So
makes
they're saying
sense.
it hit before?
So that makes sense.
So they heard it.
They were killed by 2 things. They were killed probably from the blast, which would explain why that guy was crushed, like he was hugged to death. You remember that one guy? It was
right.
like it looked like
The
he just got
concussion
right.
or percussion.
Right. It'd be concussion.
To where it's just the sound
Right.
that flexes.
Well, the shock waves of the blast.
Right. So why was everyone not affected?
Well, here's
that
the
way?
thing.
Because
that guy was affected that way because maybe he was close enough to the blast that it hit him. The rest of them died from an avalanche
because of the
shock of that
shockwave.
blast. That's what I'm thinking. So,
but what
anyway,
was the tongue ripped out? Like they
I
had
don't know.
those so many weird.
I don't know. I've never really seen a body though. I've never seen a body after it's been smushed by an avalanche. So you never know what could cause that. I mean, this logically makes sense. You know what I mean? Anyway, it says the granite was melted to basically red glass. I think the temperature at the moment of impact was very high. This is clearly visible on the satellite images. He continues, having been woken up by the shockwave, the hikers were blinded by the bright light, probably suffering temporary loss of vision. This explains their sudden escape and descent into the woods. Findings are even more strange given Degterev's belief that the firing of the missile had not been a test. The missile had probably gone off course and changed direction, hitting the mountain face accidentally. The blogger states that had there been no radiation found on the clothes, his theory would have been that it was a meteor impact. You would still get radiation from a meteor impact, though.
Right.
I think the place needs a thorough look when the spring arrives. If radiation is indeed found and if there's an impact crater, then the mystery of the off pass can be considered solved.
They said it was an avalanche, but it's closed to
Yeah.
the government.
Yeah.
The government's already said it's closed.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that are still talking about it that there's no way that. Which, I mean, we've talked about it. This is the third time we've talked about
Right.
it because it is one of those
It's
unsolved
fascinating.
mysteries that you can't explain.
Right.
The injuries.
Yeah, the injuries, I mean, some of those easily could be explained by a blast. But, yeah, some of them are kind of strange injuries. So, I mean, it's still up there. It's unsolved. I
Yeah,
think it will
it's
always
sort of
be
weird.
unsolved.
Right.
Because
It's so
you're
many
never going to get the
theories.
truth.
No.
And
They've
you're talking
closed
about
it. They
that
don't want you to talk
happened
about it
during
anymore.
Soviet Russia.
Right.
So, a lot of shit was fucking covered up back then.
Right.
So you just never know. But it was I thought that was very interesting. And some of that makes a lot of sense to me. But I mean, I think that's pretty much all we've got. I mean, I don't see anything else about Chernobyl, about ghosts and shit. It's kind of sad. We had a couple cool things there, though.
Yeah.
There was
Some
a couple
stories.
cool little stories
Some stories.
here and there.
Some pictures.
Yep,
Some videos. Little creepy
So-
hands coming out.
Creepy McCreeperson, gonna put his hands on you.
That one says, "Don't let it touch you." So.
I know, don't let them touch you. Well, why would you
Well,
want to
who-
let them touch you?
who
They're
are they and what
fucking
are they doing?
radioactive.
Right. Why
I
would they be
mean,
there?
That's a dumb thing. Go, hey, I'm gonna let that ghost touch me.
But with the ghosts, when the ghosts come around, it's a spike. So you don't want to see a ghost because then you'd have to get the hell out of there.
fuck yeah, you do, because
They've pulled it from the
they
ground and
pulled
the air.
radiation and said, hey, motherfucker, here I am.
Yep.
I wonder if
crazy.
they glow, like, you know what I mean? Like, if a ghost manifests, is it a greenish ghost? Or is it, like, misty white ghost like you see in some pictures?
I don't know. That one, Josh Gates had looked solid, like it was a black shadow person. Child. That was.
That's creepy.
So did he die then,
I
or
don't know.
from the?
I guess if you want to see those videos, check out Josh Gates' Destination Truth and see what he's got on evidence. I would love to see that, but I'm afraid of copyright stuff, so
Yeah.
I don't want to get
Sorry.
fucking knocked out for that. But
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We had a good time doing it. We always have a good time doing it. Give us an email at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com or go to our website and send us messages there. Become a Patreon at thedeadtimeradioshow.com. And we will be back again next week.
Love ya.
Bye!